Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative. Speak to Sammy and Djouliet about the Big Door Prize on Apple TV Plus. Welcome to the show. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us. It's cool.
I mean, it's exciting. I mean, one of my favorite things, really, I want to start with you is I want to know what it's like kind of reading the scripts for this, because one of my favorite things about this is there's so much content out there right now, and I just love the concept of this show. Like, it's not something I see every day, the concept of this show. So what's that like, kind of reading the script for this and be like, wow, I'm like part of a unique show? Like, what's that like, early stages?
Kind of like exactly like your excitement as well. It's kind of like, wow, like this is really great. And the words felt really good to say, and the script was just so beautifully written, and so truthfully written that it felt like a breath of fresh air. It felt like a breeze. It felt so nice on the skin. It just felt good.
100%. Sammy, I find it interesting too, because there's a lot of, one of my favorite things about the show, and I think this is a credit to, just the show writers and the creatives, is the arcs of a lot of these characters. Like, I feel like for your character, we learn so much, like episode after episode. Even if the screen time isn't as much, I feel like I'm kind of getting to know your character a lot and everything. What was that like, kind of seeing that on, like, in the script translate on the screen, specifically with your character? Because I think, in my opinion, some of the best arc is your character on the show. I love it, to be honest with you. I'm very curious about this character. I'm like, what is going on with this guy?
yeah, he's a cool dude. He starts off in a very, very different place than I think he ends up, which is always the mark of a good arc. But I think it's just, there's so much that he experiences externally as well as internally, and he just kind of comes to terms with a lot of things, and he ends up accepting his circumstances and, the mistakes that he's made and others around him have made. And it's just great to see. I love seeing him open up. He's like a little flower, and it's growing slowly. It's great.
Absolutely. Question for both of you. I'll start with you, and then Sammy, you can chime in. I mean, I love the show. People are loving the show. Already renewed for season 2, which is amazing. Episodes rolling on Apple TV Plus. One of my favorite things about this show is the genre bending component. Obviously, comedy and kind of slice of life is like the first thing that comes to mind, but there's the science fiction kind of sprinkled in there. There's so many things. What is that like, being part of a genre bending show? Like, where there's in a time where there's a lot of different TV shows that are kind of throwing the genre away a little bit. I'm curious about that. Do you think about this being a genre bending show at all, Djouliet?
I think about it's all I can think about. It's all I think about all the time. No, it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun too. Like, it's fun to perform. You know what I mean? It's fun to perform something that's just not just one thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, hello, I come to work and I don't know what's happening that day. Well, I mean, I do, but it's a different thing every single day. Like, it's cool to be able to tap into the comedy, to tap into the sci-fi, to tap into like the grounded drama. I love that. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, I can't stop thinking about it.
I feel like that's the biggest misconception, Savvy, too, is the fact that, like, people online have theories and predictions, right? And they want to ask the cast, and they just assume you, like, Savvy, they assume you have all the answers.
Yeah,
and you know what's going on.
I have all the answers, and they're all right. All of them are right. No, I don't know. That's the cool thing, right, though, is like you brought up earlier, like, you get these scripts, and it's like, what's it like opening up these scripts? And it's hilarious. Djouliet always makes work analogous to play, in a sense. We're playing around with these characters, and we're kind of just like unlocking new doors with them. And so it's like, if you get to come and 1 minute you're playing basketball character and you're doing a silly dunk, and then the next moment it's like, oh my god, what's going on with the machine? And then the next moment it's like deep dramatic scene with Djouliet, and then the next moment it's like a hilarious bit of awkward. It's all over the map, and it's great.
But that's how, like, life is. Life is all over the map, which is that's what makes our show so beautiful and so fun to play, because it's so real. Life is genre bending.
Yep.
Well,
it is.
Oh my god.
There's the headline.
Genre bending life. No, it is. I remember one time I was doing a junket for a show, and they were like, telling me that it was a genre bending show, but they didn't say genre bend, and they were like, you know, there's so much happening. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? And I was like, genre bending, and they're like, yes, we're on a genre bending show.
Word of the month, genre bending.
Genre bending.
No, it's awesome as well. This is something I like. Maybe I should have asked like the beginning of the interviews, but I feel like this is a question you're asked a lot. I always get curious about the audition processes for a lot of these shows, because I feel like knowing a lot of actors as well, depending on what the project is, it's different, right? Sometimes you know a lot about the audition and sometimes you don't know. Djouliet, what did you know about the audition for the Big Door Prize? Like, did you audition for the character you got? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I auditioned for the character I got. And my audition story is really long and I don't think we actually have full time for it, but yeah, I didn't know that much. And what's really funny was I knew that it was casting out of New York, but I knew I was a Canadian girl living in Vancouver at the time. So I was like, I actually had a different job at the time and I didn't have time to do the audition. But a week later, casting came back and still wanted to see me do the audition. And I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't even have time to open the script or anything. I was just so stressed out at the time of like making sure I had my lines for like the job that I had. And yeah, then when I was reading the script and spitting the words out and doing the audition with my mom, my sister, and my brother, I loved it. Yeah. I loved it so much, and I got the part.
Absolutely. Sammy, what about you audition wise? How much did you know specifically?
I don't know. I'm assuming I had a pilot that was very different from what came, not very different, but a lot of things were different. And then I kind of had like, you know, just a brief description of Jacob, this kind of mild-mannered, chill, you know, stoner-y kind of with glasses. And I was like, this is not me at all. I was like, what? And then, a couple self-tapes and meetings and callbacks and all that stuff. You just go round after round and then you stay up all night thinking about it, and then one day you get a call and it's either make or break, I guess.
It blows my mind that literally the cast of the Big Door Prize on a roller coaster you can't really escape. Like there's been like you guys have like you hopped on this roller coaster as soon as you were cast for this and you're not hopping off, because if you think about it, you film it, you wrap, then there's like first look photos, not a trailer, not a date announcement, first look photos that this thing is eventually coming out. Then it's like trailers, announcement dates and everything. You have the premiere, you go to South by Southwest. You saw like are you getting used to the fact that you're just on this roller coaster that just keeps going, loop-de-loops and everything?
Oh, it's going honey, I'm tired, but
that's like a train. It's like a train. It's like a crazy train, and we're just going, and then it's like we're at the next stop. Like get off.
It's like the press day. Seriously, there's been so many like events, right, for one season of a TV show.
Yeah, totally. It's so many things that happened in season 1, and even more things happened in season 2. It's so fun.
So it's always tough, right? Because episodes rolling on Apple TV Plus, you know what I mean? Like, without I'm trying to ask like a question about like season 2 without it being, but I was gonna ask like, what would you like your characters to dive into more in season 2? But I feel like that might be a hard question to ask because the episodes are still rolling up for season 1. But it's just like, what is something that Sammy, what is something that your character that you've enjoyed this season with your character specifically, that you're hoping maybe we'll get more of in season 2? I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, okay. We're at the end of the season 2 process. So as season 2 has kind of gone by, Jacob is kind of, you know, he's come into his own. He's a bit more confident with who he is. He's come to terms with a lot of the things in his life. He's a bit more vocal, and he's kind of understanding like his own self-worth, which is something I really appreciate. And he's still just as caring, but he realizes, you know, some things I need to take for me.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot more than I thought you were going to say. Yeah, for sure. No, that's good. Like I just feel like there's just so much kind of to explore, especially just how things are like molding for while season 1 is wrapping up. But Djouliet, I do want to ask as well, what has been one of your favorite things and storylines? Because this show also has a lot of like pocket storylines, right? A lot of interactions with characters. Is there something in season 1 that you really enjoyed? Like specifically compared to others? Like obviously there's the main kind of family storyline, but like there's the restaurant stuff. Like is there anything you really enjoyed this season? Like season 1?
Good. There's one scene that's actually coming out tonight in episode 8 that I really enjoyed. I love having scenes with my dad. I love Chris O'Donnell. I love them. And there's a really funny scene tonight that was probably one of my favorite scenes to film. And yeah, I love diving into kind of the family dynamics, specifically like the one tonight that happens that you'll see. It's very I can't say much because there's a bit of a spoiler. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I feel like sometimes I have the hardest time doing interviews because we get the shows in advance, right? Like I've seen the episodes and I feel like I'm just walking on eggshells, Simon, the whole time. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. That's funny.
What about you? Do you have a favorite kind of season 1 moment for your character?
Like in the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like everything that's tonight. I really like the sequence with Crystal around the machine, and we kind of are just. I loved. It was so funny because you're going into a scene with someone you've barely spent any time with, and then just to have an immediate connection and get to like have comedy with them, but also like part of the mystery and all that stuff. I would say, yeah,
100%. It's pretty crazy to be also on a show that has like. One of my favorite things is you laugh so much, but then you think about it and it's got so much heart. And then like sometimes you're watching the show, you're kind of tired watching it because you're just exhausted because I feel like so much happens in one episode. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Do you get tired watching it?
I do get tired sometimes watching it.
Are you tired of watching it?
Yeah, no.
Tired, like exhausted. No. Like you're watching. You're
I
like,
don't.
It's a great show. Okay, it's a good show. All right. Okay, it's a great show. It got renewed for season 2, so it's a very good show.
It's an explosive show at times, right? It's like it's very volatile. It's like 1 second this could be happening, and then it's like everything can get turned upside down in a matter of 10 seconds.
Big door prize, episode 8 coming out really soon on Apple TV Plus. Sammy, Djouliet, it's so great chatting with you. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.